Okay, I've always only went city. I've never done no over the road crap. That's just not me. Over the road, there's nothing wrong with it. Get what I mean? Just up to you, what you choose. Okay, so please, it's going to be pretty crazy here for the next week and a week and a half. Please be patient with me. I'll do whatever I can. But you can see, I'm pulled in a lot of different directions right now, okay? So I'll do what I can for you, okay? Now, when you get done with your outside pre-trip, most likely you'll be doing it in the barn this time of year. The tester will pull the truck out of the barn, okay? Then he's going to tell you to hop up in the seat, and you got to work all your lights for him. And this is part of your pre-trip inspection, but this is the in-cab part, okay? So, what will happen is he's going to tell you to hop up in here, all right? When you get up in here, what's the first thing you think you might want to do?
Put on your seatbelt?
No, adjust your seat, because a little short fucker like me's in there. How you gonna sit near your knees will be up here, okay? So first thing you want to do is get your seat adjusted and get yourself comfortable, okay? Make sure you can push that clutch in right, because if you can't push the clutch in, and I got this seat way back, how am I gonna drive? Think about it. Look at me right now. Turn on that door light so you guys can see. How am I gonna drive like this? I can't, can I? Okay, so get your seat adjusted. Get yourself comfortable. Remember now, he's standing back there and he's saying you got to work your lights for him because he's going to check your lights. But he's not going to give you any directions. You have to do it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So once I got my seat adjusted and I'm comfortable, the second thing I'll do is turn my ignition to the on position. See how my ignition is on? Okay. Now he's standing back there. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to do my left turn signal. I'm going to do my right turn signal. I'll show him my four-way flashers are working. Okay, and then from there, I'll tap on my brakes and show him my brake lights are working. Okay, then I'll turn on my headlights, and that'll show my tail lights are working and my ID lights are working back there. Once I'm done with that, okay, then he's going to come, and he's seen them all working. He's going to come around, he's going to walk up in front of me, and as soon as while he walks up, I'm going to click my lights back off for a second. Now here he is, he's standing right there in front of me. Then again, I'll work my left turn signal for him and show him it's working. My right turn signal, my four-way flashers. Okay, then I'll click on my lights and I'll show my headlights are working and my top lights are working up here. Now those are all working. Then I'll give him my high beams, show him my high beams are working. Now he's gonna walk around here, he's gonna sit where you're sitting. As he walks around, I'm gonna turn that ignition back off, click my lights off and wait for him to get comfortable. Once he's sitting in the truck, now I'm going to finish my pre-trip inspection. So I'll start with my seatbelt. And I'll say my seatbelt is not cut, torn, or frayed. It is not damaged. It is properly secured. It latches and unlatches correctly. Then in the test truck, your reflective triangles and your fire extinguisher should be right here, obviously. And, you know, they can't be here in this truck, but that's where they'll be. So we'll imagine they're there. I have 3 red reflective triangles in good working condition, properly secured to my floor. I have a fire extinguisher. It is properly rated and fully charged, and it is properly secured to my floor. Then from there, I'll point over there and I'll say I have spare fuses. Then I'll point to my mirrors and say my mirrors are clean and adjusted. Then I'll point to my windshield and say my windshield has no cracks, no illegal stickers, no debris, it is not damaged, and it is properly secured. Now I'll look over at him and say, sir, I'd like to do a safe start for you. So what I will do is I will push in my clutch, make sure my truck is in neutral, make sure my brakes are pulled. I will turn my key on only and show you my ABS light is working. Then now I'll start the engine. I'll check my neutral once more, then I'll get my feet off the pedals. Sir, that was my safe start. Now from there, I'll start on my dash. My oil gauge is working and rising the proper oil pressure. My water gauge is working and rising the proper temperature. My voltmeter is working and holding a steady charge. My air gauges, they are working and air is slowly building. Now you see how I was pointing, I'll slide my hand out and what do I got right here? My horn. I'll tell it, my city horn works, my air horn works. Now from there I need to finish up my dash, so I'll turn on my lights and now I'll show him that my left turn signal indicator is working, my right turn signal indicator is working, my four-way flasher indicators are working. And now my bright light indicator is working. Then if I reach over here and I shut off my lights, my windshield wipers are right next to them. Then I'll show him that my windshield wipers work on high speed and they work on low speed. My washer fluid itself is spraying and working. My windshield wipers themselves are not damaged and they are properly secure. Now from there, if I look down, what do I got? I got my heating system, don't I? So I'll set it on the hot right here. I'll put it on defrost. I'll reach my hand up here and tell him that my fan works on high speed on defrost and it works on low speed on defrost. Then I'll switch it over to the floor and I'll reach my hand down here and tell him that my fan works on high speed on the floor and low speed on the floor. Once I'm done doing there, if you notice I did a little pattern, I'll circle it in my mind. I got everything covered. That way, you know, if you're always doing everything the same way, what's going to happen? You'll do it. It's just a habit. It's muscle memory. Once I'm done with that, okay, then what I'll do is I'll say, sir, I'd like to do a tug test for you. I'll push in my clutch. I'll select myself a low gear. Okay. Then I'm going to tell him I'm going to release my parking brakes and I'm going to give my trailer brakes a tug. I'll push in my parking brakes. I'll lift up my clutch slowly. My trailer brakes are working and holding, sir. Now what I'll do is I'll set my parking brakes and release my trailer brakes and give my parking brake a tug. I'll lift up my clutch slowly. Sir, my parking brakes are working and holding. Now, I'll take my foot and cover my service brake. I'll push in both my protection valves. And now, sir, I'm going to pull my truck forward approximately 5 miles an hour, and I'm going to check my service brakes. So, I'll take my foot off the brake, let out my clutch, give it a little gas, pull her forward, push in my clutch, apply my brake softly. Sir, it did not pull to the left or right, so there is no adjustment needed. I'll put my truck back in neutral. I'll pull my brakes, get my feet off the pedals, and this is where I'll tell him I've completed my pre-trip inspection. Okay? And that has to do with the outside and the inside. When you're done here, you're done with your pre-trip inspection. Okay? Now you're going to go to your second test, which is called a 3-point brake check. Okay? And what's going to happen is you're going to tell him, now I'm ready to do a 3-point brake check. You're going to wait. He's going to give you some instructions. Okay? Then he's going to look over at your gauges right here, and this is what he's going to tell you. He's going to tell you to fan it down to 90 and begin. Okay? So he told me to fan it down to 90 and begin, and I'm going to do that. So I'll fan my brakes down. I'll watch my needles to get them below 90. Okay, once they're below 90, now I'll look at him and say, now, sir, I'm going to build my air between 120 and 140 psi until my air compressor governor kicks out. And then I'll give it some gas. And make sure you at least give it about 1,500 or pretty close RPMs, otherwise it's going to take forever for that air to build up. And what's going to happen is now my air compressor governor, you're going to hear it go shh. When you hear it go shh, that's when we'll tell him that we heard it and what happened. Okay? So we're going to wait for the air to build up now. What I usually do at this point, if I were you guys, is crack the window so you actually hear it. Because, you know, if there's any outside noise, you might not hear it go shh. Okay? Wait for it. Listen for it, guys. Anytime now. Now, since that happened, I'll look at him and say, between 120 and 140 psi, sir, my air compressor governor kicked out. Now I have some steps to do. You don't necessarily have to tell him this, but if you talk yourself through it, you will do it, okay? So step 1, I'm going to push in my clutch and select the low gear. Step 2, I'm going to shut my key off. Step 3, I'm going to turn my key back on. Make sure my needles move because now I know my ignition is on, okay? Step 4, I'm going to push in both my protection valves. and I'm going to get my feet off the pedals. Now I'm ready to move on. Now I'm going to talk about 4 PSI, okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell him now, I'm going to hold my service brake right here, but don't touch it till you're done telling him, all right? I'm going to hold my service brake for 1 minute. I should not lose no more than, how many steps do we have? 4. So this reminds you that you got to talk about 4 PSI. See what I mean? Because some people get nervous, and if you count it out, you're going to come up with that on your fingers. Now I need to hold my service brake for 1 minute. I should not lose no more than 4 PSI in a minute's time. Then I'll look at him and say, my minute begins now, sir, and I'll stomp on that brake pedal. Do not let it up. If you let it up, you fail, okay? You wait for him, and then what he's going to do is he's going to say, okay, your time's up, or your minute's up, or whatever he tells you. You'll release it, and you'll tell him, I did not lose no more than 4 PSI in a minute's time, sir. Now, I'm going to point my finger right here to my dash, and then I'll talk. Because if you talk before that, you might skip something, correct? Because now I got to talk about, now, sir, I'm going to fan my brakes down to 60 PSI, where my warning light and buzzard will come on. Then I'll fan my brakes down and show him. Sir, at 60 PSI, my warning light and buzzard came on. You guys can hear it and see it, can't you? Now, before I talk again, I'll point at my protection valves. And I'll tell him, now, sir, I'm going to fan my brakes down to approximately 40 PSI, where both my protection valves should pop out. And I'm going to stare at these valves, and nowhere else. This doesn't matter. What matters is watching these valves, okay? So, now I'll do it because I told him what I'm going to do. Lean over and really look at them before I open my mouth to make sure they both popped out, because if they both didn't pop out, what do you need to do?
Fan more because one has a delay.
You just keep pumping. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's not always the same, all right? So I checked. Now I'll tell him approximately 40 PSI. Both my protection valves popped out. Then where was I resting my arm? That reminds me I got to put the truck back into a safe place, which means it needs to be back in neutral and my key needs to be shut off. So I'll push my clutch. I'll put it back in neutral. I'll turn my key off. The noise went away, didn't it? Take my foot off my pedals, and I'll look at it and say that completes my 3-point brake check. And then that's what you got to do in here. So remember, the 3-point is totally separate from your pre-trip. It's like your second test. Then from there, like he'll add up your points and how you did, or if you know what you did and you passed everything, then he'll say we're going to go to the range. And then when you go to the range, you're going to have to do 1 straight line back for him. You're going to have to do 1 offset parking for him, and you're going to have to do 1 parallel parking for him. You get through all that, then you'll go to the road. Then if you go to the road, okay, you got to go through all that. And if you pass all that, when you get back here, he'll sit down, he'll score you, and then he'll basically tell you you passed it or not. If you fail any part of this, in any segment of it, you have to start from the very beginning. That means you have to give him another pre-trip, another 3-point, another range, another road, depending on wherever, it doesn't matter. You could come all the way back in here, and you did something wrong, and you're going to have to start from the beginning. Do you guys understand that? Okay, so a lot of this has to be, you really got to get yourself a system and a pattern and understand what you're doing, okay? It isn't so much you got to be super intelligent, but what matters?
Repetition.
What matters is that you know what you're talking about, because he will call you out. If you just memorize it and you don't really know what you're talking about, obviously them guys them state testers test thousands of people. What are they going to look at you and go, oh, you're trying to bullshit me? Now, if you're nervous, people get nervous in this. It's just honest God's truth. And if you get nervous, he'll help you a little bit, but he's not going to give you answers. He might say, move along, and what's that mean? You're rambling, right? If he says, give me a little bit more about something, what's that mean? Yeah, you just missed a little something. If he says, show me where that part is, you better know where the part is, correct? Because if you don't, he won't give you the points for it. So on your outside pre-trip, you're allowed, and inside, when we did the end cap, you're allowed to miss 23. Your 3-point brake check, can't miss anything. Got to do it 100%. Okay, your range, Your straight line back, you're allowed one pull forward, free pull forward. Listen closely. One free pull forward and one get out. Okay? On your offset parking, you're allowed 2 free pull forwards and 2 get outs. Okay? On your parallel park, you're allowed 2 free pull ups and 2 get outs. If you get out 3 times in your truck, you fail. Does that make sense to you guys? Can't have that happen, can you? So you got to pay attention to what you're doing. And he gives you very, very good instructions over there, and he will ask you twice. He will tell you twice and ask you twice. Do you have any questions? If you do, what do you need to do? Ask. Because if you don't ask and you make a mistake, he can end the test at any time. Do you get what I mean? Because you're not following instructions. And what are following instructions about? Safety, isn't it? Okay, so you got to remember that. He don't know who you are. He don't want to know your name. He don't care who you are or where you're from or anything. You're just another test. Does that make sense to you? So, you know, you got to be safe. You got to make sure you're doing things correctly and listening. So, on your range, back to that. So, you're allowed to accumulate 13 pull-ups total. Okay? So, you're allowed to score 13 points, but you get free pull-ups with each one. So, if you use your free pull-ups, have you scored any points yet? So, like if you did an offset and you pulled up twice, your score is 0. You haven't used any of your 13 points, have you? Mm-hmm. Okay? So basically, if you really think about it, then you go into your parallel park, you can pull up 2 times for free, correct? Then you got 13 more times you can pull up, so that's 15 times you can pull your truck forward. Get what I mean?
Yeah.
Anytime you go out of bounds, he's not going to let you cheat, because think about it. We could just back up there and run over all the cones and pull up and be in. He's not going to let you do that. If you go out of bounds, and what out of bounds is the rope. Okay, it ain't the cones, it's the rope. That's like a wall beside you or a vehicle or something. He's going to stop you and make you pull off his rope. If he has to pull you forward, he's going to charge you 2 points out of your 13 for going out of bounds. Then he's going to charge you 1 point, okay? He's going to charge you 1 point for pulling forward. So you use 3 points instead of pulling forward. What would you rather do, go out of bounds and use up 3 points, or just pull forward an extra time and use one of your points? Does that make sense? So you got to think wisely, you know, and take your time and be calm, because if you're not calm, what will you do to yourself?
Screw yourself.
You play basketball, somebody starts getting all worked up and nervous, how do they play?
Like shit.
Yeah, you got to remember that. You just got to relax. Nobody's out to get you. Nobody's going to bite your head off. Nobody's going to do nothing to you, okay? You just got to relax. Your goal is to be one and done and get out of here. But if that don't happen and you go over there and test and screw something up, what do you need to tell yourself? Where am I weak and how do I fix it? Okay? This is not something that you're learning that you have to be magically talented or you're perfect or all this stuff. It's all about learning a system, like learning a game, learning a skill. You know, the more you practice, the better you get. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? So don't let yourselves down, because if you don't take this serious, what's going to happen when your test day does come? Yeah, you're going to be lost, aren't you? You guys understand that? Okay, so please study this. I can do it for you a bunch of times, but who's got to grab the bull by the horns? Okay? And I'm not full of rainbows and unicorns. I'm like a coach. If you're fucking up, I'll tell you you're fucking up, okay? I'm not going to play games with you. I'm not going to be your best buddy, okay? Because that you ain't going to learn nothing if I do that. If I come up and give you hugs and rainbows, are you going to learn anything? I got to come up and say, hey, man, you suck. You're not doing very good at that. Come on. Let's get better. All right? And if I'm out there being firm with you, I'm not out there being firm with you because I'm an asshole. I'm being firm with you because I'm your coach. I have to be. You know, and that's how I look at it. And when you do something good, I will tell you you did it good. Does that make sense? I'm not going to give you any gray. All right? It's going to be either you're doing it right or you're doing it wrong. So this pre-trip and this in-cab is a really tough thing for a lot of people. Some people are pretty good at it, man. They can get in here, they can talk to somebody, they had no problem, you know. And other people, man, they have to talk to somebody like that, they start freezing up. You know, and you got to overcome them butterflies, swallow them, and just do it. But if you practice a lot, what will your habit do? Like when I did that in-cab, did you notice I was pointing at everything? My finger's telling me what to do, isn't it?
So is it an order that you got to go in?
I don't care what order you go in, but what I care is you do the order the same way every time and you cover what you need to cover. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You can do it like me, or maybe you have a little system in your mind that works for you. It's okay, but what's the whole point? Cover all the same stuff and say the correct things. And my attitude's always like this. Make sure that you have an order so you do it the same way. If you start bouncing around and not keeping an order, what's going to happen on the outside and the inside? You're going to skip stuff. Not because maybe you don't know it, it's because you don't have a good system to do it. And you need to know these basic things anyways. It's important to know them. Here, you're learning this much. This much is all you're learning. When you get out in the real world and you start truck driving, there ain't a company out there that's going to throw you in a truck and say, go drive. They're going to train you for a while. They're going to invest a lot of time and money into you to get you where they need you so you can go out and be safe on your own. Okay? So right here, our focus is what? Let's get our CDL. Okay? And it's going to be crazy here. And I will work with you guys the best I can. And please be patient with me, okay? Look how many people I got out here right now. You guys see what I mean? The weather really screwed us, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay? And I'll do what I can. So please be patient with me. And if you run into an issue or you have a problem, you have to come ask me because I might not know. All right? Fair enough?
Yeah.
I'll give you guys what you give me. If I see you ain't interested and you ain't working a whole lot, why am I gonna, if he's not interested in working a whole lot, but you are, who's gonna get my attention more?
The person that's working.
Yeah, because I'm gonna go to the person who wants this. You know, because otherwise, if he's all being lazy, I don't care and all that, why am I gonna waste a bunch of time on you? I'm gonna be on you. I'm gonna be like, man, you need to get that done, but I'm not gonna sit there and give you a bunch of time unless you show me, hey, I'm here. Because, you know, I can't do that. I can't sit there and be your mama. You know, this is, you guys got to really, really work on this. And it's not that hard to do, okay? You're only going to make it as hard as you think it is. Does that make sense? Okay? Now, what I just did, it seemed like a lot. But if you do this a few times, where are you going to be?
You did it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's more about a pattern, a system, and learning what to say. If you went to buy a new car, what would you do? You would check all this stuff, wouldn't you? This ain't no different than a car. It's just a big-ass car, right? True? You have the same parts. They're just different style parts. A Ford and a Chevy's not the same vehicle, is it? But in generalization, they all have the same parts, don't they? Same with the truck. Does that kind of make sense to you guys? So you just got to learn your parts. Once you learn the parts and you know them well, then you can put yourself a little system down. The best way I tell people to study this, start at the beginning. Learn this side really good. So basically you're talking about your lights up here and no leaking fluid. Then you're going to talk about your exhaust. Then you're going to talk about your water pump. Then you're going to talk about your alternator. Then you're going to talk about your belt. And if you get all that, this side down real good, then move on a little bit and learn that. Then move on a little bit. You know what I mean? Don't try to do the whole entire truck because what are you going to do to yourself? By the time you get back there to the trailer, you don't forgot everything up here. Makes sense? That's a good skill or a good way to get yourself, especially if you're not good at crap like that. Okay? Because all it is copy, repeat, and get yourself doing it where you're doing it the same way, and pretty soon you're saying what you're supposed to be saying. Because you may know it, but if you don't say it out loud, do you really know what you're spitting out of your mouth when you're a little nervous? That's why you got to say it. Get used to saying it. Got to get used to yourself not being afraid to say it out loud. Okay?
Kurt wanted me to ask if you had the keys for that race truck.
I haven't grabbed him off the thing yet.
Okay.
Where did he go?
I think he's inside.
Well, tell his ass to go get you guys the keys.